Hello and welcome to ommmsome podcast. Laura Vaisman, is that correct?
Yeah, you said it right.
Super. I'm so excited. I wanted to tell you straight away when we got on the video, but I was like, no, I have to keep this for introduction. I watched your some of your IGTV today. You have such a lovely voice, and your book is
Thank
beautiful.
you.
I was really glad to see your share, and especially anxiety tools. So easy, but so needed, in these times. So
right.
thank you for being this light and shining
Yes.
brighter through videos.
Yeah, thank you so much.
How are you feeling now and in these days that probably a little bit overwhelmed with everyone's attention?
Yeah, I mean, it's the first week, it's only been a week, I think. Feels like a long time already. I'm losing track of time, but yeah, no, it was overwhelming at first, but like in a good way. But been feeling good. I think I was a little burnt out on Friday, but then I realized I'm like, you know what? Like I know to do videos and stuff like that, but I need to have like boundaries for myself, like do work during the week and chill out on the weekends. That's just I needed to do that. So I think that's how I'm going to keep my schedule. So I don't get overwhelmed, but it's been very good. I've been enjoying it all. So it's been very cool.
How's it being on the videos now and you're filming TikToks as well, right?
Yeah. It's shockingly getting easier. Like I used to, I'm telling you, I used to hate video. So it's like within a week that it feels easier is crazy. Like I'm not 100%. I wouldn't say, oh my God, I love it. Or like I'm super comfortable, but it's definitely getting easier, which is good.
Yeah. I love that. It was so great to see you when you shared your book and when you shared the tools. So let's start maybe with anxiety. So I listened to some of your share. You said you have been dealing with it since you were a teenager. Is that correct? And how has it changed over years for you?
It's changed a lot. I was, as a young teen in early 20s, it's such a tumultuous time where you're in school and there's school pressures and, then you're looking into college and then that whole college pressures and stuff like that to do well. And, it's changed a lot because it stemmed from trauma for me. I mean, I had something traumatic happen with me and a family member of mine. So that kind of triggered it. And then, just learning how to overcome those feelings and just be okay with being sensitive, because I think that's where a lot of the anxiety came from. Like, I shouldn't be so sensitive because everybody's like, stop crying about it, or, like, suck it up type of thing. But like, once I started accepting that I'm a sensitive person, granted, like, it wasn't overnight or anything, so, but I'm saying like 10 plus years of like working on myself, going to therapy and like doing things that I enjoy and finding things that new things that I enjoy and stuff like that. So it's taken a long time, but I'm nowhere near where I was when I was younger, which is good.
And when did you start writing your book? How old were you?
So it was, when did I start? Well, I've always wanted to write it, but it took me 4.5 years to do it. So maybe I was 25, 26, I guess, when I started. And then I literally just finished last year.
But you still had all the anxiety issues and you were not confident about it, but you were still writing it.
No, I mean, I had, it's, I realize that people are jumping in and like, my anxiety back when I was a teen and in my 20s, like I used to be on medication when I was younger, no longer on that. who I am now, I'm so much more confident and so much more grounded than I was back then. I have my moments, but to me, um, it's very situational for me. So if I'm like,
Mm.
if I have like a lot going on, then I get, I overthink and it's anxious, and then I get overwhelmed and stuff like that. That's kind of where it is now. So I'm still, so like, I feel like my anxiety changes with me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like it's
That's
not like it's
beautiful.
not yeah, like yeah, but it's not the same from back then till now. So it's like anxieties I had back then don't bother me now. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So it kind of, but I don't see it necessarily as a bad thing anymore. Like I see it as like, it took me a long time to see it as a gift, honestly.
Can you share a little bit about that? Because I heard that you saying that as well, and then on the other podcast, I think it was.
Yeah. So when I say it's a gift, and I'm not saying like, oh, I enjoy the anxiety. Like,
No,
no, like
you
it
appreciate the
sucks.
experience,
But
probably.
yeah, I appreciate it because to me, that is my cue that, okay, like I'm not listening to myself, or like I'm not listening to my body. Like my body is screaming
Mm.
out and it's like telling me, like, hey, pay attention. You know what I mean? So that's why I see it as a gift. I see it as like a time to reset and reground and get back to, level.
Mm-hmm.
So I use it as like my leveling tool almost, like, and I start like reevaluating what's going on in my life, what is not good, what is good, what I need to keep doing to make me feel good. So um, that's kind of where I'm at with that.
That's beautiful. I've never actually heard
Yeah.
that people would say, like, like you grow, like it grows not with you, but like you said, it
Mm-hmm.
evolves and you evolve, and like
Mm-hmm.
what you were sad about or anxious a long time ago, it doesn't matter anymore. What were
Yeah.
your, so you mentioned some tools that you're using now. Do you remember, like, over all this time, what have been maybe five of your, like, the best tools that always works?
Like
Is
staples
there
to
anything?
exercise is number one for me.
Mm.
I did, because you know what, I had medication and I didn't, like, I was on Xanax and I had Zoloft and I was on a bunch of shit I was switching from. What I didn't like is that it made me very numb to my emotions and to what was going on. So um, eventually, going through therapy, it really wasn't the therapist, it was more the psychiatrist, that I just felt like, well, some of the therapists too at the time, but it was a bad thing that I was like emotional in my
Mm.
sessions, and or whatever feeling I was feeling. And I was like, why are they seeing this as a negative? Like, so eventually I got very sick of it. And I talk about it in my book, but I said to a psychiatrist, like, I flipped out because like I noticed he didn't even look up to speak to me like eye to eye the entire time. And I was like, you really don't care, do you? Like, you don't give a shit what I do after this or whatever, like just trying to make a point. And I just like, I was like, if I want to feel, I want to feel. Like, I don't want to
Mm.
be like guilted or like told it's not good to cry or it's not good to be angry or whatever. Like, so I got it was like such a huge epiphany moment where I was like, fuck this shit. I am not taking medicine anymore. Like, I did it obviously, like I told my doctors, I just didn't go off of it, but
Mm.
they were like, oh, I don't think that's a good idea. I'm like, no, okay, watch me. So it was scary, but
Yeah.
I was like, I had this like, I don't like this. I feel like me and Gary Vee had that same like bravado feeling, like, you're gonna tell me no, I'm gonna prove you wrong. So it's like, I was like, oh, okay. Um, but yeah, so exercise was huge for me.
Mhm.
Um, that became like a natural Xanax to me because you get like the natural endorphins and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So that changed my life. So from that one, exercise is one. Actually changing my eating habits is another. Not that I'm like super vegan or anything like that. I eat meat, but I eat cleaner. Like I don't eat like junk food and stuff like that. I'm very cognizant of to what I put in my body. I don't drink caffeine.
Yeah, I heard that. That's super.
Yeah.
Because I heard from so many because I do on and off some podcasts on anxiety and depression, and caffeine is one of the things so many mention. And like you even said about the chocolate, because I've noticed that for myself. I'm like,
Yep.
why am I shaky? I'm like, yeah, because I just had and I love the dark chocolate because I'm afraid of sugar.
Yeah, I do too. I like dark chocolate too. But for me, I will take little pieces of it when I'm craving it. But like, yeah, but I'm also not a sweet person, so I have that going for me. Like I don't eat sweets, so it's very rare. Yeah. But yeah, so
was there anything else specific that you noticed, like caffeine, like cutting out caffeine, or the chocolate, or something that was like that really helped you?
Oh, caffeine, 100%. That was a game changer for me, because I used to drink like cappuccinos and like coffee and all this stuff. So like, it's a funny story. I don't talk about this in my book but there was a time when I was in college and I went to grab a cappuccino from Starbucks, and I don't know what they put in it. If they put like a triple in it or something. I went back to class. I was shaking so bad that like, I was like, what is happening? Like, I was like biting my nails, and I don't bite my nails. Like, I was like a crackhead in school in my class, and I was sitting in the front row, and my teacher was like, are you good? I'm like, yeah, I guess. I don't know. But like after that like scared me straight almost. I was like, I'm not doing this to myself anymore. Because like, that's when it clicked, where I was like, I'm giving myself anxiety because I just had a coffee. Like, so I was like, yeah, no, coffee's out. I'm good. So it's been a long time. It's been a long time. Like, that was like, I graduated college in 2013. So that had to be like 2010, 2011. I haven't had caffeine. So it's a long time.
Super.
Yeah. So now, but the funny thing is now I'm extra sensitive to it. So even if there's like a little pinch, I'll feel it a little bit. I'm like, damn it, and that's like when I can like feel anxious, like if I have a piece of chocolate, you know what I mean?
What about tea, like green tea?
I don't mess with green tea because usually that has caffeine, but I only drink herbal teas. That's it.
Yeah. Super. That's I'm just checking because someone asked, does your book help people with anxiety, or is it just an insider's perspective of someone having anxiety?
So my book is more about my travels and my struggle with anxiety, but also like my push to see the world. And each trip that I went on, I gained like I call it that I gain like a spiritual perspective from each trip that I have, that I learned like a life lesson from each place. My first book is more of like a personal memoir of just my travels and like what I've been through and whatnot. My second one, that one's going to be for teens, because I feel like teens need to learn coping skills and tools. So that one's more geared towards like that.
Okay, we can talk about that in a bit, but I just saw someone, I didn't want the question to like so you said exercise, eating habits. What will be the third one? What really, really helped you and has helped in years?
Probably meditation. My family is pretty I don't want to say spiritual, but my family is very open. So meditation has been a thing in my family for as long as I've been, since I was little. So I've done it a lot when I was younger, where it was like I was either laying down or it was sitting. But like over the years, I started realizing like that's not my thing. Like sometimes it's hard to just sit there and just meditate and just like, oh, just sit there, you know what I mean? But then I learned that there's different types of meditation where you can do working meditation. And like working meditation can be like for me, it's writing. I go into a zone when I'm writing. So, but
Journaling,
it's just
beautiful.
very meditative, you know, something that's calming, or like taking a walk. There's walking meditations. I think some people misconstrue meditation, like you have to like sit on a pillow and sit there for an hour. I'm like, no, there's many ways to do it.
And no thought is running through your head, because I teach meditation, and that's usually for people. And when I started learning, I took a book and I tried learning from a book, and I'm like, well, I still have thoughts. And then it's just, but only like you're saying, trying one type, another, third, and
yeah, because I used to go back in Jersey. I used to go to this meditation circle every week with my best friend, and it was just this group of people. It was like maybe 8 people, and I enjoyed the group meditation, and we would sit there, but there would be days where like I was like, yeah, no, this is not working today. I'm like, I'm fidgety, like I have my thoughts were going the entire time. But like I think people have to learn that it's okay to like not like, yeah, there's gonna be days where like, yeah, your mind doesn't shut up. But as long as you're observing it and you're like, okay, like, all right, this is just not going to be that deep of a meditation today. That's it. You try again, and you try again tomorrow, you know?
I've sometimes sat in meditations when I'm so tired that I feel I'm about to fall asleep.
Yeah.
And once I usually push myself, because I was like, no, I decided to meditate, you know, and then through depression and in recent years, I've been just like, okay, I'll rather sleep. And when I have more awareness, I'll meditate afterwards.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
So you really have to, well, through meditation, you gain a lot of awareness. So you notice what your body needs. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have,
that was 3. So, but another one for me is lavender has been a huge thing. That's very like, I don't know, there's so much nostalgia for me with lavender. Like I love the smell of it. I don't have it this year, but I'm going to get it this year. Like I plant it in my garden, and it's such a pleasant scent. So like I think my therapist back when I was really struggling, she got me like the essential oil to put on my wrist. So like if I was ever like just so I had it like on me, you know, just, you know, and I also made these little satchels one year from my plant where I just took all the lavender and stuffed in like a little satchel. And when you squeeze it, the scent is really potent. So when it was really bad, I used to just kind of sit with it like under my nose, like as I'm in bed, and it would just calm me. So lavender is just like, I know it works for some people, it doesn't work for others, but it's very comforting for me. So lavender is huge.
And that's actually so easy to try as well. It's not like, you know, like meditation, you have to spend some time to learn, but to get in lavender oil or something with lavender or some other essential oil is actually,
and then is that 3 or 4?
That's 4.
Oh, and then I honestly think the last one is just probably having a great support system and just talking with your family, your friends, your partner, whoever it is, and actually having like a good therapist, because I've gone through quite a few, and trust me, there's some bad ones out there, but you got to go through which one vibes with you.
How would you suggest, do you have some tips for that? Because I had also that very bad experience where when I went to like, I think I'm depressed, and like I was in a really bad space, and the doctor was the same, like he didn't even look at me. Oh, you're the yoga teacher? Your friend called? And I was, I'm sorry, you're in the middle of your story. Wait, I have to just check another paper and then I'll be back. And I was like, I just wanted to pew him.
There's a lot of bad ones out there, but I feel like you have to realize that, because I had a therapist. I'm trying to think. Like, I had a therapist once in the beginning when I was like in my early 20s who, because I dealt with such a traumatic event, and I was very upset, and she said, oh, well, you keep coming in here crying. And she's like, I think you're clinically depressed. I'm like, what? I'm like, no. I'm like, I literally just went through something super traumatic. Like, obviously, I would think it'd be weird if I wasn't upset. Yeah. So, like, I immediately cut her out. I was like, yeah, no. Because, and I think sometimes this is some of my experience too, because I used to work in mental health for a brief period of time, so a couple of years. So between my own personal experience and then like my professional experience, like, and I have to preface this because there's people who have been reaching out to me who think like I'm an expert or I'm a doctor or I'm a therapist. I'm neither. I do have some professional experience, but like I'm not a therapist at all. But just from what I've seen, there's a lot of bad ones out there, but that's not to say that there's not good ones. You just have to be very choosy as to who you talk to. And it's like, if I don't vibe with you, forget it. Like, I have to vibe with you because like I'm telling you my most intimate personal things. Yeah. And it's like, for me, if I could tell when a therapist is very clinical and is like has their like head in the book and not looking at the person as a human being, you know, like, because this is kind of why I've left mental health a little bit, because I feel like there's like a huge discrepancy of like, oh, we need to diagnose, like and I'm like, no, you need to look underneath what's going on, because there's trauma there's whatever. Like, look at the human being first before you're like, you have depression, you have anxiety, you have this, you have that. And that, I couldn't take it anymore when I was at my old job. I couldn't take it anymore because I was like, that's a whole nother conversation. But like, again, it just is like, I think it's just very important to find someone that you can resonate with. It's hard.
Also, in these times, that probably there are going to be, well, better human beings coming out because everyone has some time to spend with themselves and to become more human rather than being always busy with, you know, prescribing and prescriptions and everything, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what they have in Europe, but I don't know, maybe, you know, Psychology Today or that magazine or website? Well, I'm not sure. Well, here in the States that we have, that's how I found mine. So you can search for a therapist on that website. So what I liked about it was you see the person's picture, you see what they do, you see what they specialize in. They have like a little description of who they are. And I don't know, you kind of get a vibe. I mean, you don't know the person, but like, that's how I found my therapist. And I've been seeing her for so many years. But I see her now like on and off when I need it. But she's, you know, she's spiritual and she's like into the same things I am.
That's what I was going to ask you about as well, because I think once you find someone who is my best doctor he wasn't a therapist for depression or anything, but he was a acupuncturist, Chinese medicine doctor. And I really aligned with his knowledge and what he knew about it. And I was like, okay, tell me, what is depression according to Chinese medicine? Can you make these meridians work again? Like, and that was the best actually, because I really aligned with him.
Yeah. And because she taught me meditation, but she used to do like, I remember one time I went to her office and like had like a panic attack. And she did like a guided meditation with me where she did like visualizations or whatever. And she said, like, think of a place that was really calming to you or that you really enjoyed. And like, she went through it and I was fine after that.
Wow.
So she's like I call her like a spiritual mother figure to me. She's like, I've known her since I was like 18, 19 years old. So she's been around for a long time. But
That's beautiful.
Yeah, she's really cool and she's good at what she does. Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
I think someone probably got some good encouragement for, you know, still looking out or keeping the.
Listen, there's good ones out there. They're out there. Just be like you would pick a partner. Like, you're going to be picky. Be picky, you know? if you don't like how they speak to you or whatever, or they just are like not listening and you can tell, like, go to the next one. I went through quite a few before I found the one that I have now. So.
Okay, let's switch to, I think there's a question about the book. What were the challenges of going in the self-publishing direction for your first book? Would you do it differently if you could do it again? I think that's an interesting question, actually.
Yeah, I didn't know shit about self-publishing, to be honest with you. Like, I didn't know anything. I'm in there's a few writing groups on Facebook for writers. So I was in there and I got a lot of information via those groups, and Twitter is huge for writing. Like, there's like the hashtag writing community. That's a huge community. I've asked a lot of questions via that and connected with a lot of authors via that. It's free to publish on Amazon, but you got to do all the work. So it's a lot. They have all their templates and how-tos on their website of how to do it. It was a lot. I'll tell you. It was a pain in the ass to like get, to format the book and learn, but I'm glad I learned, because I think this time around, if I decide to go this route, it'll be so much easier. But it's just, I enjoy it because it's like, I don't know, it's like, it's in my hands, I'm controlling it in a sense. So it's like, I'm not looking, or not that I'm not looking, but I was like, well, I'm not waiting on a traditional publisher to potentially pick me up. I'm like, if I want it out, I can do it myself.
That's brave.
Like, yeah. So for the next one, I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. If I want to do it self-published or reach out to a traditional. I might do traditional just because I never tried that route. But I'm also a type of person where if I don't know something, I'm going to try to figure it out. So it's difficult, I'll be honest with you, but it's doable.
So your book is a collection of stories about your travels is it all in Europe? Yeah.
No, it's
all over.
Yeah, mostly it's Europe. Costa Rica's in there. There's some stories about the States and Mexico, I believe. Yeah, but it's kind of all over.
And which one is your favorite?
Country?
Which one of the stories or your learning lessons that you can give a little hint? You don't have to tell the full story, but
probably going to Switzerland. I have lots of love for Switzerland. It's my favorite country. I fell in love with it when I first went, and I always wanted to be a European citizen. So this just kind of shows my determination to do the things that I want. Because I remember I used to have, like, when I was younger, I was like, I had a huge vision board when I was in college. I was like, I'm going to live in Europe. I'm going to become an EU citizen. I'm going to do all this. And everybody was like, how the hell are you going to do that? Like, what are you going to go marry someone? I was like, no, I'm going to figure it out. I was like, I'm going to figure out a way. So my family's Italian, and I was like, okay, I'm going to figure out a way, because I know for a fact we can do it. I figured out that through bloodline that I can become an Italian citizen. It took me 6 years to get it. But I just love that story when I tell people, because it's like, that's the story I always fall back to or refer back to, like, when it comes to anything, because that seemed impossible.
Yeah.
And so me wanting to be a writer and me wanting to do this like full time, I'm like, I get that same thought where I'm like, oh, like, I think this is impossible. Like, I don't think I can do it. But then I'm thinking back, like, remember when I wanted to be an Italian citizen and everybody said I was fucking nuts and that I wouldn't be able to do it, or like move to Europe would be crazy, or like, how are you going to do that? And I did it. So that's my favorite one, I would say.
How old were you when you moved to Switzerland?
So I was So I was 24.
And was your first time Europe?
My first time was my first time was 17.
Oh,
then I went back because I fell in love with Europe when I was 17. And that was my first time there. And then 18, because I was like, I need to go back. So I was like, I want to go back by myself though. And I wanted to backpack by myself. But of course my parents were like, there's no freaking way you're going by yourself for 2 months. And then my cousin wound up coming with me. And then that's when I really fell in love with Switzerland, because we both fell in love with it because we like could not leave.
Yeah.
So I just have such a soft spot for that country. It's so pretty.
Super. I've got a similar story. I moved out from Latvia when I was 18. I was just like, okay, I'm going. I moved to London, and then since then I've been all over the place. And for us Europeans, it's more, like going to the States or going to Canada, going to the across the ocean to that. And then I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna one day live there or make something out of it. And it's so interesting, and it really, really resonates. It's beautiful. Wow.
Yeah.
So that's a collection of stories. And what is the new book? That's Anxiety for Teens. Can you share a little bit about that?
So this one is it's kind of between my stepdaughter. She was dealing with some anxiety, and then hearing stories of her friends, and then my nephew, and then me and my husband came up with the concept of it one day. And so I wanted to write something for young people that they can resonate with, that wasn't super clinical. It wasn't like, oh, hey, you want to know how to get rid of anxiety? Here's the 5 things. Like, no teenager or no young kid is going to do that. So I wanted to change it and write something where they can get those like clinical messages without being so clinical. Like, it's in the story. Like, like, how like The Alchemist, where it was like, there's a lot of lessons in it without him being so blunt about it. So that's kind of what I wanted to write, how I wanted to write it. So it's just like, so they can learn coping skills and techniques, and just realize like a lot of their anxiety, not that they can't feel anxiety, but just a lot of it is so normal. And a lot of it is like, we've all been through the same anxieties, and, and just realize that having a good support system is so important,
Exactly. So, was Alchemist one of the, the author Paulo Coelho was one of your inspirations for travels?
No, but he's one of my favorite authors. I love him. I love the way he writes.
He's amazing.
Yeah. I forget which is is it the manuscripts from Accra or to Accra or something? I don't know if you've ever read that. I forget the title. I always mess it up. But that one was amazing. I love that one. But I'm trying to think but I was always obsessed with Europe when I was a kid. Like, I was obsessed with London. I was obsessed with London also. So like, just the British accent and the way they did things, I was like, it's so cute. I was like, oh, I love it.
So I want to say Zahir was my favorite. Flowing like a river. I think that was by the river Piedra. I sat down and
that was another.
That was a crybaby one.
Good one. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah. There's I was talking to somebody else on a different podcast where we were talking about books, and now that I just thought of another, in India, the person who wrote The Kite Runner. I think it's Khaled.
And I won't remember the surname.
I think it's like Khaled Hosseini or something like that.
Could be.
He wrote. I mean, Kite Runner was good, but he wrote. And I think it's the most underrated book because I haven't heard, it's not really out there like that.
About the suns or something.
Amazing.
Right.
I still think about that. I still think about that book all the time because that book like blew my mind.
That was profound. I know.
I was crying by the end. I was like, oh my God. I was like, I don't want it to end. Yeah, that was an amazing book.
Super. Do you have a favorite book? Something that you like totally favorite?
That one's a good one. The 1,000 Splendid Suns. That's probably one of my favorites. I'm trying to think what else is a good one. I read a lot, but I can't think of like.
What is something recently that you read and that you would suggest for some reason?
I'm actually in the middle of it because I found this woman. I found her via the holistic psychologist on Instagram and Facebook. There's a woman called her name's Cheryl Paul, and she wrote a book called The Wisdom of Anxiety, and I learned so much about anxiety that I never knew of, like just a more deeper level of where it stems from, and on a kind of like on a spiritual level. She's a therapist, I believe. She wrote The Wisdom of Anxiety. Her book is amazing, and she talks a lot about similar stuff that I believe and things that I've said too, but she goes on a way deeper level, and it blows my mind, like how connected we are and how much our anxiety is telling us messages, which is something that I've grown to believe.
I love that, how you totally, like, I think for some it's like a flip when you say that it's telling you a message. People never think it's anxiety. I get like this, I should get rid of it. And it's like, no, this is the message. Because I teach it sometimes in meditations, like whatever emotion I'm now feeling angry. Why is that? Just observe it. Oh, it's because, like I haven't slept for the past 2 nights. I'm just exhausted. There's nothing actually.
I think, but I think a lot of it is super simple too. Like where I think it's like, sleep or what you eat or like exercise and stuff like very simple things, I think is what creates that snowball. Where it's like eventually you're going to hit that wall and you're like, why am I hitting this wall? And I'm like, well, I mean, you don't, it like for me, if it's like, if I'm not sleeping good, forget it. I can't function. And it's like, I'm agitated, I'm cranky, or like things start to bother me more than usual. So it's like, it's just, and I always knew those things were important when I was younger, but I used to be like, I guess I used to see it as like I'm being selfish for taking that time in a sense, because like people would be like, oh no, just come out, or who cares, like you sleep when you're dead. And I don't believe in that at all.
Or sleeping is lazy or something like that.
No, because I'm like, no, you know what, now I've gotten to a place where I don't care anymore, where it's like, no, this is what I need, so I can't be my 100% present self if I'm not good.
Exactly.
So for me, it's like, I don't really care what they think anymore, because it's like, oh well, you'll see me when you see me, I guess. But you got to take care of yourself. That's like the number one, always.
Were you anxious when you heard that you're going to be on Gary Vee show?
Yeah, I was. I actually texted my friend Katie back in LA, and I knew it was like super early for her. I was like, I feel like I'm gonna vomit. She was like, she's a comedian out there. She's hilarious, but she was like telling me tips, and I was like, but I was actually supposed to be on the day before.
Okay.
And then I got like booted off because I guess it went longer. And I was like, oh shit. I was like,
another 24 hours.
I was like, oh my God. So I didn't know if I was going to even get on. I thought like, you lost your shot. That's it. I was like, no. So I texted like his number again. And I was like, oh no. I was like, so I was supposed to be on yesterday. So is it possible that I can get on tomorrow? And they were like, yeah, absolutely. Like a promise is a promise and stuff like that. So that's when I was on the next day. But when they said like, you're going to be on, like you're in the queue, I was like, holy shit. But like, so how they have it is like, it's kind of like, it looks like Zoom, but like you're like backstage. So I was watching the couple of people before. Yeah. So I was watching the couple of people behind or ahead of me. I was like, oh my God. I was like, what am I going to say? Like, I had stuff written down so I didn't like stumble over my words, but I'm glad it flowed the way it did. And he was so easy to talk to, and I think it was a Jersey thing, like we just clicked, right? You know, so yeah, but it was surreal. And the last year I've been saying like, I'm gonna talk to Gary Vee one day. Like I was like, because I always told myself within the last year, I'm like, I just need that one conversation. Because I used to text him and tweet him all the time and be like, Gary, I need just one. All I need is just one conversation, and I totally believe that'll be the conversation I need. So it was just really cool that I got on there. It was awesome.
What was what was something straight away that you were like, okay, I'm now going and doing this after that conversation?
I really didn't want to do videos after that. Like when he said videos, I was like, fuck. I was like, God damn it. I did not expect that conversation to go the way it did. Like if you like, I didn't think.
What did you expect? What did you think he would tell you?
I don't know. I thought it was going to be more about like my blog and like, should I keep the name and like, how do I become like a full-time author? Like him saying videos, I was like, what? I was like, no. So I was like, but he was really cool about it. And I think I just always thought it was weird to like talk to yourself. Like it's easy for me to talk to you via here because I'm like, I see you. So this is different. Like this is not that bad. But like to just sit and talk to yourself, I don't know. It was so weird. And it still kind of is weird, but it's getting easier. But he gave me and I agree with him that, you know, as long as I've been putting out content, nobody knows who I am. At least not my core people do, but like everybody else, they don't know. So that's, you know, and that's where like the insecurities would come in, because I'd be like, all right, should I just be done with this? Like, is this not like, been doing this for so long and maybe it's not meant to be? But then like every time I would think that, I would get so sad to like let Traveljerzgirl go. I'm like, no, I can't let it go. I'm like, it's such a like, just enjoy it. I'm like, I can't let it go.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, but.
So since then, a week has gone by. Another question before that. What was the biggest surprise? Maybe some email or someone messaged you or sent you something that you received afterwards?
I got 2 people. I don't know if the second one did it yet, but people were reaching out to me about tea. Like companies wanted to ship me tea. I was like, yes. I was like, send it all. So that I was pumped about that. I was like, yes, oh my God. I was like, as long as you have herbal tea, I'm so down. So that was cool. But the same, like, sorry, I have a train. My books have sold a little bit, which is cool. I don't know exactly how much, because Amazon's weird that like, with paperbacks, I won't know like the numbers until the books ship out. So it could be a long time. But I mean, I sold out of the books that I had, but I didn't have that many. Because like people were like, oh my God, you sold out. I'm like, yeah. But like I didn't have, like I had like, what did I have? Like 10 books left, but I like out of my huge order that I had over a long period of time. So that was cool. So, and I do have orders now that are waiting to get another set of books that I just ordered. So, but like I've sold like 30 to 40 books, which is cool. So 30 30 to 40 that I know of as of now. I don't know if there's more on Amazon, but I think that was the coolest thing, and just seeing people really enjoy and like my message who aren't my core followers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not, you know, because that was cool, because like everybody who's been following me, who I kind of recognize, who's followed me for a long time, like I know they like my stuff, but like, you know how Gary Vee will say, like, the market and the people will tell you if you suck or not, or if they like you or not.
Yeah.
So like that, when he opened that floodgate, that was like, shit. I was like, well, I guess I'll find out if people think my shit's good or not. I guess I'll find out. So that was a little scary, because I was like, oh my God. But I'm glad that it's been very positive, and I think also him saying like we're all watching. I was like, okay. So
I have to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily know if I would have done video if he didn't say that. I'll be really honest, because I respect him a lot, and I know his community is no joke. So I was like,
I don't hustlers.
Yeah, so I was like, if I don't do this, they're gonna destroy me. So that was like in a good way though. Like it was a good motivation for me. So I was like, I appreciate that, because I was getting messages. People were like, "I'm watching you. We're watching you." I was like, "Oh my God!"
Like, hello, Laura, is that you? Where's your video?
Yeah, I was like, Jesus Christ, you guys are relentless. But it's a good thing though.
It's beautiful. What would you suggest to someone who wants to get on a show or ask a question to Gary Vee?
So I know he has his text community, his phone number. I think that's only US based from what I know. But from what I've heard on his podcast, that he is very active on Twitter. Like Twitter is the best way to get in touch with him. He has answered me before on text, because he does try to answer people. So like I had like a business question, like I got screwed in my, like I have like a little e-commerce store on my website, and I got screwed by something, and I was like texting him because I was like freaking out. I was like, what do I do, Gary? I was like, what do I do? I was like, you need to answer me. And he was just, and I was shocked that he answered me back. So that was cool. But it took me like over a year and a half.
Be patient, huh?
To get on, because like he has millions of followers, so it is very difficult to get on that show. But I also like, I do believe in like synchronicity also, where it's like, I think it was just the right timing, and we just, serendipity almost. But because I've heard that there's people who like text him and then they get on like within the next day or so. So there's no like, but all I could say is super, super persistent, and don't give up on it. You'll get on eventually.
Someone was saying, glad you did it. Always great to step out of your comfort zone. Was that a lot of stepping out of your comfort zone?
For what? For
the Gary Vee video and everything?
Yeah, it's super outside my comfort zone, yeah. Yeah, I'm like looking back in the questions too.
They're just good things.
Yeah.
If anyone has a question, we're on for another, I think, 5 to 7 minutes, because Instagram turns off after an hour. And so if you have a question, please type it. Or if you asked maybe before, just type it again. Oh yeah, I really loved how your Instagram TV videos where you were reading your book. Lovely. I hope you do an audio book.
I know, I have to look into it, because I was actually enjoying rereading it to some people. And it was cool that people enjoyed it. And there was I think the last one that I was doing, people were like, you're like, what? You stopped it there? I'm like, yeah.
Right, I know. I was the same. I was like, okay, and now what? I'm like, come on. It's like I can't. IGTV is not 5 minutes. It's 15. I know it.
Yeah. Um,
Can you talk
let's
about your
see.
writing process? Is that something you can, maybe share a little bit
Um,
for inspiration?
I
Someone
don't.
maybe stuck.
Trying to think. I don't really have a process, but for I guess sort of. Well, I don't have like a whole system, but I do have for me to really get into that, it's a zone 100% for me.
Mm-hmm.
So it is very, I do not know how to explain it. It almost becomes meditative where I I almost feel like something else like overtakes me in a way. Like I'm very like in the moment, super, super present. I have to write in complete silence. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot write with any noise going on. I can't think. So my best writing comes when I'm in in silence. Also, my best thing is I get a lot of good ideas in the shower.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I get a lot of my ideas from. And also, like when I can't think, I do like I'll take a drive, and for some reason that's how I came up with the title. Actually, I had my book like Untitled for the longest time, and somebody just said I'm not looking at the camera. I think I have my
Yeah,
computer on. Oh, I have my computer too.
we're actually recording here.
Yeah, so that's why I'm looking that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my book was always untitled for
Uh-huh.
such a long time, and I was taking a drive, and I was like, I feel like it needs to be like spiritual something. And then I was like driving, and I was like, because like I had like a meditation like teacher also, and I remember asking him, being like, I don't know how to get the title. Like, how do I get the title? He's like, it's just gonna come to you one day, like
Exactly.
out of nowhere. He's like, you're not gonna think hard about it. He's like, it's just gonna pop in your head.
Mhm.
I've pulled off the side of the road so many times because I thought of something and I was like, I gotta write that down. And, so yeah, like I guess that's sort of my writing process. So
Mhm.
you know, allowing the creative juices to flow. You know.
And probably over years you've learned where, like you're saying, like the best idea is either it's a drive or a shower or something that they have.
Mhm.
You do it and then it comes to you.
Mhm.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. There was another person asking about a tip for a teenage anxiety, how to the best. I lost the question was somewhere, but how to deal with anxiety if you're a teenager. And another was
Routine.
about anxiety when making videos.
um. I don't know if it's, I guess for me, it's not necessarily, I don't know if I would call it a anxiety with video. It's just, or maybe it is, I don't know, but it was super uncomfortable. And I think if you don't have even the slightest amount of confidence or, self-esteem, it's very difficult to do video. Um, I just always thought of myself that I actually thought I couldn't do video because I was like, I'm not a good speaker. I
Mm.
always told myself I'm a
Mhm.
good writer, but I'm not a good speaker. And because that's why I like to write, because it allows me to really think of of what I'm writing. Like, because I mean, I'm talking to you, but I'm going off the cuff, so I can write this conversation so much better than I can speak. That's kind of the story I've always
Yeah.
told myself. So that's kind of what prevented me too. Because I even said to Gary, I said, well, you said like, if that's not your thing, then don't do it. But then,
Mhm.
he called me out and said, well, you never did it. So,
Exactly.
but I think people were saying the same thing to me in messages. And I was like, honestly, like just rip it off like a band-aid. You just got to jump in. I like that just works for me. Like can't have I have a little bit of preparation before, but a lot of the times I'm winging it. And I do very well with winging it. That's just how I work. But if you're somebody who needs like an outline of what you need to do and be like, and like little bullet points of things you want to hit, then you need to do that too. But everybody works different, and just from the comments and the constant and like reading what people are saying, that they're like, my first video sucked. It was horrible.
Exactly.
So I think it's just everyone. I don't
A
think
year ago, you wouldn't get me on a camera. I hate it. I always made time lapses for my yoga videos because, they're
really?
faster and you don't really see whatever you don't want to see. And I would not go on video. I hated my voice. Podcasting made me to, I don't listen to my podcast, but I'm okay with my voice now, but videos as well. And then I think it was also Gary Vee, one of the shows where he said, it's not about you. It's not your gallery. It's like, okay, if you want to deliver value, like I want to, talk to you and hear your message. And it might help someone with anxiety or someone with whatever writing process. Then why not? It's not about me. It's not about how I look in this video or how my voice sounds, It's about what you want to deliver. And I was like, okay, I have to get over this.
Yeah. I mean, it's, listening to my voice was cringing for me. I was like, ew.
Yeah.
But it's gotten better. But I do tend to kind of post without really listening because I'm just like, get it out. Because but it's just, I think
afterwards as well, you post it. It's not gonna you're not gonna look back at you and like, oh my gosh, this is so horrible. You most likely you're just not gonna watch it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Yeah. But I think I think a lot of times and this is just kind of the person that I am, like when it comes to doing things that are super outside my comfort zone, it's scary as hell. And it's not to say that I'm not scared, because I am, or uncomfortable, because I am, but it's, I think I think of the end and I think of like, I'm going to feel good after I do it. So that kind of drives me too, where I'm like, just do it. Just freaking do it, because you'll just feel like, oh, okay, I did it.
Yeah. And then I always ask, like, what am I going to become in a process? It's like, you never know. It's like you're saying, a week and you're fine with reading your book online, It's awesome.
I'm honest with you. If somebody told me like, oh, it's only going to take you like a week, you'll be fine. I'd be like, yeah, no.
I know myself.
Yeah, I'd be like, no, it took me like 12 years to do this. I'm like, it's not going to just take me a week.
Exactly.
So, but I think it's just such a learning process with everything,
Okay, I see it's less than a minute for Instagram. So we're going to leave that in a bit, but that might be like a couple of minutes longer, and it's going to be out in, I think by the end of this week. Okay, what would you like to say to some of your Instagram fans? Everyone is loving you there. Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super appreciative of everyone who likes what I've been saying, what I've been doing. It's funny because like I got some messages where people are like, oh, well, you're famous now. I'm like, no. I was like, I have never thought of myself as famous. I don't think I am at all. I just appreciate that my stuff is out there. So, hold on.
Yeah, I stopped. It was an hour. Okay. That's all right. We can finish here a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Zoom doesn't do the Instagram stuff.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. So I mean, I'm just happy that my message is out there, and like I guess like the masses are seeing it. And I've always said, my goal is not to be famous. I have no interest in that. I just want people to have my message and grow a community, and people to know that, you're not alone. This is like, a lot of it's normal. And I think it's good to know that you're not alone. Like, that's huge.
Exactly.
For so many people. And how many people like have done or have dealt with the same thing? And that's what I like truly enjoyed when I traveled, because I would meet people from all walks of life, all different countries. I'm like, they're still dealing with the same thing I am, or like very similar things, or like even if they don't speak the same language as me and we're just like sort of getting by with talking to each other, but it's still the same. I'm like, that's crazy to me.
Right.
And I love that so much about traveling. Because
Do you miss
I've
traveling like now in this time a lot?
yeah. I didn't travel as much as when I was younger because I was out of school, so I kind of took like a little bit of a gap year to do that. And yeah, I mean, now it just sucks because I'm like, now you look at the prices and it's like they're so cheap. I'm like, now I can't go anywhere.
Right.
But, I was like, damn it. But yeah, it's just it's crazy. It's scary times, but I think we'll be okay in the end. It, you know.
Is there any new project that you want to do but you're a little bit scared of?
No, not that I can think of. I mean, my worry is it's like after this whole thing is done with, and I kind of want to have like I'm having it in my head that I'm gonna be a full-time author when I'm out of this quarantine. And I'm just like, no, this is happening. Like, I need to make this happen because I don't want to be in like the workforce anymore.
Yeah.
I want to work for myself. This is what I enjoy. I enjoy speaking with people and doing podcasts and interviews and stuff like that, and writing. And I'm like, this has to be it.
Right.
Like, please let this be my moment and be my time.
You're just in a forced training.
Yeah. So it's just, I've been struggling with that because then I'm also like realistic too. I'm like, well, what if this doesn't happen? What do I do? Where do I go back? Like, where to,
you're going to figure it out when you need to figure it out then.
Yeah.
Now you can be totally, now you are a full-time writer, right?
Yeah. I just need to keep embracing this feeling and like,
exactly.
And just be like, no, this is happening. That's it.
Yeah, especially if you're so familiar with meditation, probably visualization as well, then you can be in that nice wave of being there.
Yeah, yeah.
It's super.
Yeah. So
how is it to be a full-time writer? How does it feel?
It feels amazing. It feels like, this is everything I've worked so hard for. It's been such a long time. And what I want is I wanted to do this and I've tried so many different ways to do it over the years. And I think that's why I never really did video, because I tried, I started off as a travel blogger, which I still technically am, but, then I was trying to like make money via my travel blog when travel blogs first started, because I was like kind of in that like original group that started back in like 2008. Like that was like the prime time for travel blogs. And then it just didn't work that well. And then I was like, well, I'm going to move abroad and I'm going to just teach English. That was my goal. That didn't work out either. So, and I just didn't, and then I wound up coming back home and, so, no, I think with the things that I really truly want, when I can feel it really deep down in my gut, I know I can make happen. I just have to be super patient and just be like, okay, it's going to work. Trust me, it's going to work.
Well, it's already working in a beautiful way. And you can see how those things didn't work out, so this can work out.
I agree. And like, I think things happen for a reason to some degree, and you're on your like path, and
How would you, if you closed your eyes and then I would ask you to imagine maybe 5 years from now, how would you tell how you became a full-time writer?
I think the first word that came to my mind was perseverance, and just sheer determination, and honestly not giving up, and not allowing like people to say, oh, you can't write full time, like you're not like J.K. Rowling, like she's one in a million, you know. I'm like, okay,
Me too.
but yeah,
Me too.
you know,
One in a million.
Yeah. So I think it's perseverance. I think it's determination. I think it's the ability to not really care what other people think. I think that's a huge one. And I think it's even when people are straight up telling you like what you're doing is stupid or what you're doing is impossible, but you also have to be realistic at the same time. I think there is some realistic part that you have to be real with yourself, where it's like, is this something that can really be something, or is this like a hobby? You know, because I do struggle with that debate too sometimes. But I think it's like a cliche thing, when you know, you know.
Exactly.
And I think, like, for me, I just knew like being a travel blogger, like that wasn't it. It wasn't for me. Like, I do enjoy writing and talking about my travels, but like doing the whole like travel blogging thing and like creating courses and all those things, that wasn't for me. I was like, you know.
But then if you had never done it, you would have been always wondering.
Yeah, so but I
Maybe,
do
maybe one
like,
day I'll become a travel blogger.
but you have to try a lot of, I think the good thing that I have done, and I think is important for people, is to try a lot of things. Because you don't know what you'll like and what you don't, you know. Who would have thought I would have been semi-decent at video in a week? You know. So it's like, you really truly don't know. Like, I'd rather do it and like, let's say, and fail miserably and just be like, all right, well, at least I tried. You know, than saying I never did it and say like, okay, this doesn't work. So there's a balance.
That's super.
Yeah.
I can see you as a huge writer.
Thank you.
So I wish you that, and I'll put in the show notes how people can find you, so they can find you and send good vibes and good messages.
Yeah.
The easiest is Instagram, right?
Yeah, you can message me on Instagram. You have my email too. You can get me on there also. But yeah, like all my social media is mostly on there. I'm pretty active on Twitter too. I'm a little bit more sassy on Twitter because Twitter's off. But yeah, so Instagram's good though.
Super. Thank you so much for sharing you and sharing your passion for writing as well. I think you can encourage many, and they can hear your message. Beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I was seeing your background. Your chandelier is so pretty.
Okay. So actually, I remember what I wanted to say, because we were saying about those. You were saying about the thing. You know, you have to be realistic at some point or something. So before Corona hit the thing, I recently accidentally stayed back home in Latvia, because I've been traveling all around the world, living in different places. Also, yoga, meditation, English, everything for sake of travel. And a friend of mine has this space for workshops. So I kind of paid the half of the rent to do my yoga meditation here, and then everything, like closed down. So now I'm basically have been recording podcasts for the past month, because we have quarantine as well as everywhere. So I'm all the time with my chandeliers. But
yeah, it's very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it's super, and it's you can't see, but there's
beautiful.
A castle, and our town is called Little Switzerland of Latvia, because we have valleys and
really?
and hills and everything. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I would never think you guys would have such like mountains like that.
We don't have mountains, but we have a valley with a river, so it has a little bit.
Oh, okay. It looks a little Like a
Yeah, and
Swiss feel.
we have castles and castle ruins. But yeah, I was while I was recording podcasts, I was like, maybe like after this, I can come out as a full-time podcaster as well, because I love interviewing people. And then I was actually putting down the numbers. I'm like, what do I need? What do I need to actually for this to be not even like a full-time job, not to monetize it so much, but okay, like what can I do? How many yoga lessons do I have to teach to have this as my main thing to do in my life? I don't think we often think we want to take, okay, this is podcasting and I want my income to come from this, or this is like my book or something, but if this brings you joy, the writing or the podcasting,
Yeah, I mean, why not?
like how much does it cost you? It costs me the rent of this place because it's quiet, I can record here, and that's about it. So how much my hobby is costing me a year? I'm like, that's not too much. I could totally do this,
Yeah, that's
and
amazing.
yeah, and the same probably for you. If you were like, okay, I want to be like a full-time author. Okay, I'm full-time author. Yeah, but maybe one day a week I give a workshop on writing, and that covers all my costs. So
yeah.
But I hope
I feel like this.
There.
Yes. I mean, I think as much as we're all in quarantine, like this is the time to be creative. Like this is it. This is the time to go in. Yeah. So this is a a blessing in disguise, I think.
Yeah, exactly. If you get out of the fear zone or anything that's blocking you, because I've heard people, oh, how do I get the creative flow back? But it's like, if you're in a fear base, thinking like what's going to be afterwards, and that's blockage. But if you're like, okay, I just after I think after, as long as or whatever.
Yeah.
Super. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Luck. And can I give you a suggestion for the audio book? Like how many stories do you have in the book? Because you said it's all different.
Well, there's 12 chapters, I think. So, yeah.
12 stories about each different country. What would be fun if a person from that country would read your story, and that's how you would put together an audio.
Oh, that would be cool.
Well, you haven't been to Latvia, but I can pretend to be from somewhere else.
Yeah.
I'm totally up for reading one.
That would be really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I have to think of some audio ideas because I don't know.
Audiobooks are so nice. Sometimes, you go for a walk and just like listening. I listen to poetry in the evenings when I'm like totally overwhelmed. Read poetry and on audio when my eyes are tired, it's the best thing ever. And if the voices are nice, then it's just so soothing. And
yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know anything about it, so I'm gonna have to look into it. But yeah, I'm definitely would like to do it. It'd be cool.
Yeah, I think it would be fun, and people would love to do that as well for you.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
Yeah, super. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I'll let you know when it's all out, and